What emergency details of the conversation with Putin and Trump did Donald Trump reveal, and will the Chinese leader save the Russian dictator from defeat? These and other topics we will discuss right now. My name is Iryna Uzlova, and today with us is Michael Sheitelman, political strategist, and it's our YouTube for and Politics 24. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Iryna.
Our regular topic, air defense fails in Russian Federation. The Afipsky oil refinery located in Krasnodar region, Russian Federation, was attacked by unknown drones again. The refinery is situated close to 19th Anti-Aircraft Brigade base, the Ukrainian news website Defense Express reports. But that location couldn't save another Russian oil refinery from destruction. Can we already say that Putin's oil industry is going under?
At least it is seriously damaged. I mean, the industry, not only this oil refinery. The last statistic shows that about 60% of oil refineries was hit by Ukrainian drones in different ways and different stage of damage, I mean. But this refinery in Krasnodar region, I believe it is strike number 4 on this refinery, and this is our favorite. I have a favorite, probably because it is rather close to Ukrainian border, so it is easier to get to this oil refinery. But yes, sure, I remember that last year in 2024, Russia also restricted the export of gasoline because of lack of gasoline for themselves, for Russian army. This time it is different because also Belarus supply gasoline to Russian army, and probably Kazakhstan supply gasoline to Russian army. But we need to buy it instead of sell it now.
Michael, I think that this tendency will be great and more great from day to day. Yes?
It depends on the international aid. It depends on mostly on missiles, because now most of our strikes were by drones only, and just a very small amount of strikes with, let's say, dozens of drones plus couple of missiles, because it is Ukrainian produced missiles. And if we could have a couple of missiles in each strike, so it multiply the efficiency of these strikes.
This weekend, Admiral Dragon met with Ukrainian political and military leaders. He is a chair of the NATO military committee. Dragon visited Ukraine. He met with our main chief of our forces, Alexander Syrsky, also, and talked with our colleagues, with our journalists from Army Inform. As chair of the NATO military committee, he told that his top priority will be ensuring that Ukraine will continue to receive the support it needs to be in the strongest position while maintaining NATO's readiness to deter any threats to allied territory. And Dragon noticed about long-range missiles too, Michael. What do you see in this statement? Will NATO continue its help, and this needing in long-range missiles, will we see it?
Well, first, NATO doesn't have any army or big funds, for example, so NATO couldn't supply to us weapon or money. All the financial aid from the NATO side was, during all the war, was something around, I could be mistaken, but not a lot, something less than $1 billion during all the war. So the help from NATO, it is less than 0.5% of total international aid which Ukraine received. Because NATO, it is just bureaucratic organization, which is not an army. And it is very rare when you see somebody in military uniform, which is who is representative of NATO. So we are just organizers, we are just work as advocacy of helping Ukraine. And this is very important moment now, this week. And why this guy came to Kyiv exactly this week. Not occasionally, it happened. But in 2 days, we will start the Ramstein meeting. Ramstein meeting is a meeting of international military donors to Ukraine. And this Ramstein meeting will be meeting number 26 during the war, but the first of its kind, because on this time, this is the first time during the war, when the chairman of this meeting is not Defense Minister of United States. During Biden's presidency, Mr. Austin, the Defense Minister of United States, he was a chairman of these meetings, and United States was the leader of these meetings, and United States proclaimed the agenda of these meetings. But after Trump won an election, but before Mr. Biden left his position, in NATO there was a opinion that NATO should be the chairman of this organization, of these meetings of Ramstein. But something went wrong. I don't know what, because it was in the closed door. And last week, we were informed that the chairman of the new meeting will be Great Britain. And it be the defense minister of United Kingdom. So probably NATO will take some position, some special role in this Ramstein meeting. And this is a reason why NATO, High Representative of NATO, came to Kyiv to, I believe, to make a list of our wishes to Ramstein meeting.
But new defense ministry of the USA, Pete Hegseth, will participate in that Ramstein too. Does this signal that support from the USA will be strong too?
Not exactly. At least they don't leave us, and they don't ready to leave all the military agenda to Europeans and to other partners like Canada, for example, who is also the participant, and Australia. But at this stage, Americans were not ready to send the new packages of weapon. Yeah, they sent weapon right now, but this is the old packages which were stated by President Biden. And they also don't send to Congress any law about military aid to Ukraine. So the new Minister of Defense of United States, he doesn't have any proxies for helping Ukraine. He doesn't have any funds. He doesn't have any at least words from Mr. Trump that he is ready to send weapon to Ukraine. So he will be just somebody who just watch and not participate in this meeting de facto.
Okay, we'll see. But we won't see a zero by supporting from the USA, and it is rather good for us, I think. And we would hope that this level of our supporting will be on maybe not on the same level, yes, but not on the lowest than we expected. So what we expect from Donald Trump communication with Kremlin, sometimes I don't know exactly, because we see a lot of statements, a lot of different messages from Kremlin or from Donald Trump to, for example, 47th president of the USA, Donald Trump, talked to Reuters that the US is making progress in talks to end the war in Ukraine, but we haven't already seen any details from Trump, from press secretary of Putin Peskov to, from their foreign ministry, Russian foreign ministry too. But Donald Trump says that, yes, I had some conversation with Putin, but I don't want to tell no details. So, Michael, what progress are we talking about in this case? Does Trump mean talks with Putin really? How many conversations could there have been between Trump and Putin? And do they make any sense by today?
Okay. All the information we received from Trump and from Putin's spokesman is very controversial, first. They controverse themselves, usually, in their claims. From Mr. Putin, for example, we heard just during last months that for example, that his demand, the first demand towards Ukraine, was just two districts, Donetsk district and Luhansk district, and he wanted only these two districts to them to join Russia. So now it absolutely contravenes all of his previous speeches about 4 districts and about some other claims like for ban of Ukraine to join NATO and for demand towards Ukraine to reduce the number of military forces, etc., etc., etc. So we don't know what to trust exactly when Mr. Putin speaks, when we believe that it is rather absolute bullshit and not the claims. When Mr. Trump said something, he also sometimes controversies with his previous speeches, but at least he more or less, let's say more or less, we could say what happened, by his speeches. So it looks like, I just stress that this is just only looks like, this is not facts, that he had the first conversation with Mr. Putin immediately after election, and Washington Post reported about this meeting. And once Mr. Trump also mentioned this conversation, this phone conversation, but afterwards he denied about this conversation. So probably they had this conversation in November, immediately after, not only after election, but after first official call between President-elect Trump and President Zelensky. So afterwards, Trump had a conversation with Putin, but they didn't have any progress, obviously, and it looked like they didn't have any progress. And for the next call, they prepared, somehow prepared. It was prepared by teams, by Mr. Trump team and team of Keith Kellogg and Mr. Putin team. So next call probably was after Trump became to be not president-elect, but real president. And we don't know if we had any conclusions from that, but it looked like not. They just heard, American side just heard the new claims from Russian side. Why I think so? Because after this second call, probably second call, Keith Kellogg said in one of interviews that Ukraine should convince general election, presidential election, and parliament election during the war. And he also returned to this idea in another interview, which looks absolutely senseless. It looks senseless in the context of negotiation, because Keith Kellogg, he is not the leader of, let's say, how to make a state democratic. He is the leader of the topic of the peace process between Russia and Ukraine. So do we have election or we don't have election? It doesn't anyway connected to peace process between Russia and Ukraine. And the only connection is the wishful thinking of Mr. Putin. Mr. Putin wants to negotiate with some other president and not with President Zelensky. So he asked, and he asked a lot of times, to organize the general election in Ukraine, which is against Ukrainian law, against Ukrainian constitution, and against common sense, because never in Europe, never there were elections during a war on the country territory. Mr. Keith Kellogg said that this is the very modern democracy, the countries with modern democracy could also organize election during the war, and brought as an example United States. But the war was not on the territory of United States. Then Ukraine participated in the Iraq war, for example, and Ukraine took a part in the Iraq war. We also organized election in Ukraine. And we never said, we can't organize election, we are in Iraq, our forces in Iraq, not. But now then 20% of territory is occupied, and at least 5% of our population in the army, 5% of our population. And about third of our population are abroad because we left the houses and went abroad. So this is absolutely impossible. So now what I can conclude that American team just count the wish thinking things from Mr. Putin team, and they prepare some plan based on that. And Keith Kellogg, by the way, a couple of days ago said that there is no plan now. President Trump doesn't have a plan, and he just prepare a plan, and he will proclaim his plan only in 2 weeks or something like that.
Michael, it seems to me that no matter what the last name of our president, all presidents, current, potential, will not meet any of Putin's requirements. It seems to me that Putin wants to talk only with the USA and not about Ukraine and not about confident peace.
Well, this is your wishful thinking, because Mr. Putin, he thinks by other way. He believes that if any general election will take place in Ukraine, he could influence that by Russian media, by buying somebody. He said a lot of proxy Russian parties in Ukraine before a war. Like he has proxy Russian parties in Germany, he has proxy Russian candidate to presidency of Romania, he had proxy Russians in Hungary and Slovakia. So his dream also to have Ukraine by this way. And he had Mr. Medvedchuk as a head of party opposition platform. And just when the war started, the full-scale war, it appeared that Mr. Medvedchuk works for Putin. Yeah, and he had also other guys in the Ukrainian parliament. And his dream to bring to Ukrainian parliament a lot of Russian agents or Russian parties, Russian-oriented parties, and he also wants to some Russian-oriented candidate to win general election, president election in Ukraine. This is his plan, really. This is his plan, not a dream.
A bad plan for him. It seems to me. Moscow is yet to receive a good offer to start talks on Ukraine, Russia's deputy foreign minister said in remarks published on Monday after the US President Donald Trump said he believed Washington was progressing in negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. It's important that words be backed up by practical steps that take into account Russia's legitimate interests, demonstrating a readiness to eradicate the root causes of the crisis and recognize the new realities. Deputy Foreign Minister Michael Galuzin told RIA News, state news agency, in an interview. Concrete proposals of this nature have not yet been received, he said. Galuzin again speaks about new realities, about fictional root causes of the conflict. So, what conditions could be beneficial to the Kremlin?
Well, all of these new realities, they are only in the head of Russian authorities. But in international law, there is no new realities. International law didn't change during the war. So they absolutely want recognition of occupied territories as a part of Russian Federation. This is the first condition. But there is no legal way to recognize any territory as Russian territory. There's just no legal way. Not only by Ukrainian constitution, by the way, also there is no legal way to recognize any Ukrainian territory as foreign territory, but also by international law. There is no legal way to recognize part of Ukrainian territories, territory of Russian Federation. No president could sign this, or no parliament could vote this. Just there is no way. And also, as you know, our former foreign minister, Mr. Kuleba, former foreign minister of Ukraine, said just yesterday that the person who will lend Ukrainian territory towards Russia will be killed physically, couldn't survive in Ukraine. when it sent Crimea, for example, to Russian Federation. So it will be not just political suicide, but also physical suicide to recognize any Ukrainian territory as Russian territory. So this is the first point where we couldn't get to any agreement, absolutely any agreement. Second point is guarantees of security guarantees. Russians want a security guarantee, for example, to send to Ukraine Belarusian forces or Russian forces, or Russia will be the guarantee country of peace in Ukraine, which is just sounds like a joke. And Ukraine ready only for military forces of our partners, of our allies, United States and European Union inside Ukraine. In this case, Russians start speaking about police forces of European countries, like not military forces, but police forces. Police forces, it means that they are almost unarmed, which is also absolutely don't fit to our conditions. We want not only just some soldiers, we want also a military base, a fleet. We also want a navy, European navy in Black Sea and in Azov Sea, and we want planes, etc., etc., etc. It should be the absolutely full, complete army, European army inside Ukrainian territory. And this is also a condition which is absolutely don't fit to Russian wishes. So I believe this is two biggest points. We have some dozen more, but these two biggest points doesn't look that Mr. Trump could somehow to get closer to Mr. Putin in these 2 points, at this stage at least.
Zelensky, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, gave an interview to the British broadcaster ITV News. The war can end in 2025. There are all possibilities for this, but it is necessary that the US and Europe have enough strength to force Putin to stop the aggression, told Zelensky. Do you believe, and what do you see, can the US and Europe unite their efforts to stop Putin? Or maybe they will have a different way to stop this Russian-Ukrainian war?
Depends only on political will. If we have political will, we will stop Mr. Putin. And we know that. By the way, this guy who is chairman of military committee of NATO, once he said that if Russia didn't have nuclear weapon, we will throw Russian forces out of Ukraine immediately. So we don't want, we fear from Russia, we fear from Russian nuclear weapon, obviously. This is first. Second, we don't believe enough what they are next target of Russian aggression. Baltic states, we believe in it. Baltic states, we know that they are the next target of Russian aggression. Scandinavian states, they have a historical memory and they know that they are the next target of Russian aggression. Poland also believe in that, but not Western Europe and not United States. They believe that Putin ever should stop himself when he capture enough. But for Putin and for Russia, there is not enough. They will not stop if you not destroy Russian Federation as a state, as it was in World War II with Germany. Germany was destroyed as a state. And this is the only goal and the only realistic plan about to put the peace inside Europe.
Okay, we'll see, and Munich Security Conference will show us a lot of these moments, I think.
Maybe it starts in this Friday, yeah. Mm-hmm. At least we will have the first meeting of President Zelensky with Vice President J.D. Vance, and with all of his team. And it will be the team of peace process. You know that what Keith Kellogg said, this was very important last week, that the team of peace process from American side exists and works. And members of this team, they are vice president, Keith Kellogg himself, new state secretary, new security advisor, and somebody from intelligence services, and Mr. Trump. So all of this team, except Mr. Trump, will be on Munich Conference, and they will meet Zelensky and his team. And it will be the very important part of negotiation, because probably immediately after Munich Conference, Mr. Zelensky goes to Washington to meet Mr. Trump. This is information from Mr. Trump, not from Mr. Zelensky, by the way. Yeah, and afterwards, Mr. Kellogg goes to Kyiv to meet with all the military guys in Kyiv. So, yeah, I believe that Munich Conference is the first big step in preparation, at least in preparation of peace plan. It doesn't mean that this plan will work, but at least it will exist.
Some Western media reported that J.D. Vance and his visiting Europe has a lot of risks, even due to his different statements about our supporting, yes, about Europe, but maybe these risks are in past.
The risk about what? I do not understand.
About J.D. Vance and his visiting Europe during Munich Security Conference.
Okay, the risk that you mean that his position is very anti-Ukrainian, etc.
Yes.
I don't believe he has now his own position. He's just one of member of Trump's team, and now he's not a candidate. He was a candidate to vice presidency, and this is absolutely different role than being vice president. Being vice president is to work for Mr. Trump and to follow Mr. Trump policies. And Mr. Trump is decision maker in this case. So I don't expect some moves from J.D. Vance. He's just an advisor in this case, just advisor of Mr. Trump, not more.
Okay, move on. Xi Jinping accepted Putin's invitation to fly to Moscow on May 9. The Chinese leader also invited the Kremlin master to visit him. The leader of China, Xi Jinping, accepted the invitation of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin to visit Moscow on May 9. This was stated by the Russian ambassador to China, Igor Margulov, as reported by Rosmi. What are your expectations from the meeting between Xi Jinping and Putin? Maybe Putin will capitulate by May 9.
No, but also, it is not fact that Mr. Xi himself personally will arrive to this celebration in Moscow. It could be also like, political politeness to say that, I accept, but last moment to send some third deputy or something like that. It is absolutely not necessary to Mr. Xi to come to some senseless celebration in Moscow. Also because there will be a lot of some leaders of third world, from Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, from Armenia, each meeting like that. This is meeting of very not important presidents and leaders. It was last year when we saw some Mr. Lukashenko, president of Belarus, and president of Tajikistan and Turkmenistan, and I don't believe Mr. Xi want to be one of this, one in this role. He is not part of this role. When he came to BRICS meeting in Russia, he came with another great leaders like President of Brazil. Okay, in this case, President of Brazil didn't arrive, but he was planned to be in Russia. Like Prime Minister of India, so that is the leaders of great states. And now to be in this role of very small states is not fit to scale of Chinese leader. But I believe that they have regular communication between Xi and Putin, so it will be not some revolutionary meeting. If Mr. Xi arrives to Moscow on May 9th, it will not be something revolutionary change in the relationship between Russia and China. We know exactly what is the nature of this relationship is. And the nature is Chinese economy grab Russian economy, grab everything with very good price, oil, gas, aluminum, everything. And they pay half a price. And they supply cars, etc., and all the Chinese production with doubled price. So in total, the let's say the multiplier is 4 for Chinese economy. They buy in half price and sell with doubled price. This is the relationship between China and Russian Federation now.
Michael, thank you so much for this conversation, for your thoughts. See you next week. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Iryna. Bye.
Bye. Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. My name is Iryna Uzlova. Thank you guys for watching, for viewing. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye.